We are back with another episode of the Sky Society podcast. And today I'm chatting with Reza Moreno. She is the brand marketing manager at Planoly. Welcome, Reza.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. Reza is also located in Austin, so we're not too far away. I think, are you like me? Are you enjoying like the holiday spirit? But we also have like warm 70-degree weather right now.
Yeah, it's hot. I went on a run earlier and I was sweating, but when I come into my house, I'm decked out for the holidays. So it's definitely bittersweet.
Are all your Christmas decorations up?
Yeah, I can see your tree too in the background.
Yes, I just got my tree. I tell everyone that will listen to me, Whole Foods, $68 for a tree,
Oh.
6 foot, best deal. But yeah, I have no decorations on it yet. So it's just looking a little bit sad in my apartment right now. Amazing. Well, I'm so excited to chat with you about your career journey and to where you got now. But before we jump into all of that fun stuff, can you tell me a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, I'm based in Austin. I'm not originally from Austin. I actually moved here from New York, where I was attending university. I am a brand partnership manager at Planoly, and I also run my own sustainable media publication that I founded about 5 years ago. So that's called Sustain the Mag. And other than that, I try to run and eat and hike and just enjoy kind of like the outdoors nature of Austin when I can on the side.
That's amazing. Where's your favorite like nature spot in Austin to go to?
Honestly, my house, I mean, not that's a
Inside the house. You're like, my Christmas tree is a tree.
exactly. I was trying to say near my house, not inside my house. Right near me, there's a beautiful kind of like little river. You can kind of cross it. There's little steps. It's honestly really beautiful. I've done photo shoots and events near it. It's like a secret hidden gem. So I'm not going to announce it.
Wow.
I shouldn't gatekeep it, but maybe just a little bit longer.
Yeah, now in Austin, there's like very few places that aren't saturated with tons of people.
Yes.
So I feel like if you do find those hidden gems, you kind of got to keep them.
Exactly.
Okay, so you graduated from St. John's with a degree in journalism, and so I was looking back into some LinkedIn stalking, and it looks like journalism was like all kind of what you were focusing on. You had several writing and editorial internships in college.
Mhm.
So now you're in marketing. So what made you switch over to marketing instead of journalism?
Yeah, I know I did pivot, and I guess it's because, well, just to kind of go back, I kind of had some marketing experience. So when I studied at St. John's, I really was passionate about writing and journalism and, did that. But I did find it to be hard field to kind of find a job in, especially in a city like New York, where it's like very competitive, really hard to get your foot in the door. So I thought ahead, and about junior year of college, I started a minor in business administration with like a side of marketing. So I already knew like if journalism doesn't work out, I can go into business, I can go into marketing. I always knew I wanted to start my own business someday. So I wanted to get that kind of like background. And then of course, journalism is a hard field to get into. So, none of my full-time jobs are journalism. It's mostly social media marketing or advertising. And that kind of just shows like the industry of journalism is dying, and it's sad to say. So because of that, I wanted to go into marketing because it's another passion of mine, but still stick with journalism somewhat by opening up like my own publication that I kind of like run. And it's not really like a full-fledged business. It's more like a passion project that honestly has stuck around for a while, and it has grown. And I just find it like fun creative outlook when I'm not working a full-time job. I can kind of like do something I'm passionate on the side as well.
Yeah, so tell me about that. About 5 years ago, you started your own media platform called Sustain the Mag. So what is it and why did you start it?
Yeah, so it's an independent media publication. It's all online. So for those that read like, Refinery 29 or like Vice magazine, the online portions of those, or even blogs, like blogs have grown to be really successful over the years. This was around 2017. So like blogs, online magazines were becoming a little bit more niche. Man Repeller, RIP, they actually stopped about 2 years ago, but they were a really big blog magazine in New York. So I would see these types of, niche publications come up, and I was like really passionate about sustainability in college, and I was very like confused that these publications that I just listed weren't really focusing on sustainability. If they were, it wasn't really about the people, wasn't really inclusive. So I was like, why don't I start my own? Why do I have to wait for them to start creating stories that I want to read? Why can't I just, start something from scratch? So that's where Sustain the Mag came. The idea that like entrepreneurial spirit, I started it my senior year of college, and that was 5 years ago. And it's still, like I said, going strong. We do events almost every year. We host digital cover stories where we have like a star that we feature every 4 months, and we do a digital cover. So it looks very much like a cover of a magazine that you would find at your local bookstore in the airport, but like everything we do is digitally. So it's really fun outlook. And then we have writers that write for us as well. So it's kind of just a good outlook for everyone to just put their creativity in, and a platform for all people to be a part of.
That's beautiful. What an amazing thing to start and build and grow all while you're doing a full-time job. That is amazing.
Thank you.
So, one of the things before we get into you went to TikTok and then you went over to it's Planoly? Am I saying it?
Finally.
Planoly.
Yeah.
Okay, so I make
It's a
sure.
hard word. Yeah.
Planoly. You transitioned from the food service industry to marketing. Is that correct?
Yeah. So, I mean, food service industry, then TikTok was advertising, then marketing. So,
Okay.
a lot of pivoting. I have a very unconventional, I guess, professional story.
So to tell me about that first pivot from food service to going to TikTok doing advertising.
Yeah. So, again, I'm going to be probably mentioning this again, but graduating college, trying to find a job in journalism was really hard. So I had to obviously find a job to make my ends meet and live in New York because it's a really expensive city. So I was a freelancer for some startups as like a social media person. But because they don't pay as well, I would have to find a job that was a little bit more stable. So that's where I got into the food service industry, and being kind of like a cashier, a waitress, an expo, barista. I was like all the above. Was a really good way to make money, especially with tips in New York. So that was like one of my main source of incomes, plus my freelancing. So I was like doing multiple jobs at once in New York. But I was tired of that. I knew I wanted a full-time job. I wanted the health insurance. I wanted something more stable and something to put my like degree at use, because I just graduated and I don't want it to go to waste, essentially. The 4 years that I put in with college. So I tried to find jobs in New York. It was really, really hard. So honestly, moving out of New York is what helped me land my footing at a full-time job. I moved from New York to Texas because I knew it was cheaper to live in. I know it's expensive now, but compared to New York, it is a little bit more inexpensive when it came to rent and cost of living. So when I moved out, I started applying like nonstop. And after 4 months of moving to Austin, I landed a job at TikTok, which was a sales role. And because it's very, what would you say, like beginner role, it was easier for me to kind of like learn. But because of my business background, I was able to kind of like learn pretty quickly and become pretty of a great team member, pretty successful in my role. So I was there for 2 years, but I knew it wasn't my full-time like passion. Like I didn't really want to do advertising full-time.
And then the entire time you're also doing your own business, Sustain the Mag on the side.
Exactly. Yeah. I've never stopped doing that on the side.
Amazing. Okay. So you end up getting this role at TikTok. You're there for 2.5 years, a brand development manager. Then what made you decide that you wanted to switch to Planoly?
Yeah, so I would say mainly because going back to the New York side, I missed the social media marketing. With the startups I was doing, I was like running the email, newsletters, copy, social media planning, things like that. I felt like it was a lot more creative and fun compared to advertising, which can be a little bit more salesy, money focused. And I'm not that good at it, but I was good at my job at TikTok. So I was trying to find a marketing role within TikTok. It was really hard to do because we're both in LA and New York, and I wasn't trying to move back to New York. So I was like, okay, let me look elsewhere. Let me look for a marketing job because this is what I know I want to do is go back into social media and marketing, even if TikTok doesn't have that opening for me. And I actually knew of Planoly prior to even TikTok. I knew about Planoly back in my social media days in New York. They're pretty well known in the social media space. I use them with my side business, Sustain the Mag. I have a subscription prior to applying for them. So I'm pretty familiar with the product. I was already a fan. I just didn't know they were based in Austin. So when I saw an opening on LinkedIn, I, of course, applied and knew that was something I wanted to do because I, of course, want to be a part of something that I'm already familiar with. So that's where the
Yeah,
pivoting came from. And it kind of like became perfect how it worked out so smoothly in the end.
that's amazing. One thing I want to actually kind of backtrack on, because I wish I asked you this when you told me that you made that switch from New York to Austin, is what was it like when you had to, like, because now you can say, yeah, I got this job at Planoly, it all worked out perfect. I'm happy in Austin. I've got my secret nature oasis on the east side. But what about before when you were in, you had to decide that you were literally going to pick up and change your life and move to a new state to start your career? Like, was that scary? What was going through your head?
Oh, yes, it was very scary, especially because the whole mindset when you live in New York and you have all this, your friends in New York, a lot of my friends thought I was crazy. They're like, this is the best city ever. Like, this is where opportunities are. Kind of like the same idealism of what LA is for a lot of people. So a lot of people are like, why do you want to move to the South? Like, why do you want to move to, and there's a bad stigma in Texas for, states outside of where we currently live. And I thought that was really unfortunate. It made me feel like, oh, am I failing? Like, am I, not going to succeed? But honestly, it was the best decision for me because of what I just mentioned. Like it really did help my career growth, getting away from that competitive field of New York City. All my friends were like finding jobs after college and like they were going up in like big companies. And I was like, why? It took me 2 years. I couldn't find a job after college for 2 years. And I was just wondering what I was doing wrong. But sometimes you kind of have to find a new space for you. And honestly, New York was getting tiring for me. Working in the food service industry, like it does pay well, but in a city like New York where you're working till like 1 a.m. and then, your coworkers want to get a drink after, it's not a really healthy lifestyle. I was like kind of becoming a little like, sad about my life. Like I didn't feel like it was fulfilling. I wasn't running as much because, it's a little bit harder to run in a city like New York. So things like that. There was a lot of equations. So yes, to answer your question, I was very scared, but I knew it was going to be right for me. And if it wasn't, I always said I can go back if I ever want to, but I've never felt like I need to go back. So this is my home now.
When I moved to Austin, it's the same thing. I was like, I can always go back, right? Like, But
Yeah.
when you moved here, did you know anybody in Austin?
So I had to make friends through Instagram.
Hey, that's how I made all my friends when I moved to Austin, through
Yeah.
Facebook.
Yeah, Instagram and Facebook. There's a lot of Facebook, like female friendly groups. Some like, oh, 20 year olds. So I was like joining all of those. And thankfully I made friends through that and then friends through friends.
Yeah, if you are moving to Austin, definitely check out Facebook. I joined this group called Girls New to Austin. It's just for girls new to
Yes.
Austin. And then everyone does like, and in like, I did an intro post when I moved here with like photos of me and like about me. And then like all these girls comment. And then when other girls do it, you comment. And I went on like, it was literally like dating, but for friends, which is like honestly more intense, at least for me. It was a lot of like going out for coffee and drinks and dinner and like talking to a lot of people where it didn't work out. But like now 2 years later, my like core friend group is those girls that I met on Facebook, which is so funny to say.
Aw, where did you move from?
I moved from Southern California,
Okay.
from Huntington Beach. So yeah, when I moved to start when I quit my job to start Sky Society, it was like, why not
Yeah.
move somewhere new and try someplace different? Because I'd been in California my whole life, and so I moved to Austin. I knew nobody. I was just like you, really scared about coming here, and then Austin is just, I always rave about Austin. I'm sure you do too. It's not like what you think Texas is like. Because my whole life I never would have imagined myself moving to Texas. Like that was never on the radar. But
Yeah.
everyone always says Austin is like the California of
Oh,
Texas.
yeah. It's, it's a
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful city.
Yeah. Everyone's really welcoming. And then it's Christmas time right now. Christmas bars are insane.
Yeah.
I
It's
guess
always,
you're from New York though, so you had probably like amazing ones. There's none of that where I'm from.
yeah, the Christmas season in New York. I think that's the one thing I'm like, ooh, I wish I was there right now to see all the beautiful lights.
I know. Do you ever go back for Christmas season?
I usually don't because of the cold, but I do go back to New York at least once a year to see my friends.
Okay. Is it worth going to New York for New Year's?
I've actually only been in New York once for New Year's, and I was far away from the ball drop. I was just at a house party. So I would say it to me, I wasn't about it. No one that I knew was, but I'm sure it's still a good experience to see like the ball drop, but you will all be freezing your butt off.
I've heard people literally wear diapers to be able to
Yeah,
like stand and get close. Like I've heard, like, insane, but then at the same time, I want to be part of the
yeah,
craziness.
yeah. You can't pee in that crowd.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay, so you made this big leap of faith. You moved to an entirely new state. Did you move before you got the job at
Um,
TikTok?
Yeah, I moved and I found a barista job. If anyone's familiar with Uncle Nicky's in Hyde Park, that was my first Austin job. And then I applied to TikTok and got it like a few months after.
Okay, so you took a leap of faith before you even had a job in the
Yeah.
state.
I was like, I'm
Wow.
gonna find some job.
You believed in yourself. You manifested that for yourself.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So now tell me about Planoly. Tell me what you do there as the brand marketing manager.
Yeah, so I handle kind of all the brand partnerships and relations within the the company. Basically trying to come up with a marketing plan that helps bring awareness and benefits our product. Right now, I think like a key core strategy that I'm working on is trying to get in front of social media managers, specifically on TikTok, because TikTok is obviously where it is. I have a lot of experience prior from working at TikTok. So I handle kind of like creator relationships. I work with TikTok content creators to create content around our products and our features and maybe some new launches, resources, and then they get to come up with a unique way of sharing that story on their own platforms. So I've been working with like 20 plus creators since I started at Planoly. And for those that don't know, I started only a few months ago. I started in September. So I'm pretty new to the company and the role, but it's been really fun overall being able to share a product that I believe in, that I like personally use. It's like your new best friend, your social content planner, something that's definitely beneficial if you want to like increase your strategy across all social media platforms.
And before this, you were at TikTok and you were doing more sales at TikTok, is that correct? So
Exactly.
making this transition in purely marketing, do you think that like your own business helped you make that transition? Is that kind of what helped you?
Yeah, because TikTok wasn't pretty. It was still, I still had relationships with creators, but I was more on like the sales side. I was more on the other side. Like I was what I'm currently doing at Planoly. We sometimes run ads, on platforms, and then there are reps at these platforms to help with the ad campaigns. That's who I was at TikTok. I was on the other side. I was the one talking to the marketers. So honestly, I learned a lot just talking to marketers for 2 years. So I would say even though I wasn't a marketer specifically, I did learn a lot. And then I was marketing my own business for over 5 years and worked on brand campaigns, worked with creators, worked with brand partnerships. So simultaneously, I was like helping grow my skill set for this new role, essentially.
Yeah, I love how you kept making these little like leaps into different spaces. Do you have any advice for women who are trying to make leaps like yours from food service to like, closer to marketing, doing, brand development to then going directly into marketing?
Yeah, I would say don't be afraid to try new things, like kind of like what I did. I was like putting my foot in everything. Was, in a startup that was maybe paying me like only 15 an hour, and they had me only on for like 10 to 20 hours a week. And then I would work at a barista just until I got my next job. So I would just say, like, don't be afraid to try things out. And if you aren't happy with where you are, like, there is something there for you. Or even maybe try doing something for yourself, like what I did with Sustain the Mag. And that can help build your skill set. Because honestly, that was on my resume when I got TikTok. They saw that I had Sustain the Mag, and then they saw like the food service industry. So obviously that wasn't going to help get the foot in the door, but my publication did. So if there's something you're passionate about, maybe, and you see like you're not getting the dream job you want right away, maybe start something smaller for yourself, and that could help build your skill set for your longer career path in the end.
That's such a great tip. And then your role now, so in Planoly, you're working a lot in social media. What are some of the trends that you're seeing right now?
Ooh, that's actually a good question. I would say right now is a lot about, I mean, holiday season, of course, New Year's. But I would say being a little bit more, it seems like being more authentic is what I'm seeing across all social media channels. Like it's not as curated anymore. And I think a trend that we'll probably see next year is just a lot more like, um, I don't know, more behind the scenes, like vlogging. I mean, vlogging's pretty big this year, but I think it's going to grow even more where people are going to just keep talking about their lives rather than being like, here's a photo of something I did this summer, a recap. It's going to just be more like talking and more video heavy for the next probably year. But I'm on TikTok all the time. Like as a personal person, I'm like on TikTok way too much and I see all the trends, but they do die out pretty quickly. So I would say like if you see a trend, hop on it quick and like just do something and don't think too much about it. I think that's like something another advice
Yeah,
is
which even ties into authenticity, right? Because often, I think creating authentic content is content that you are creating, not overthinking or making it too highly curated. I think it's really cool how I feel like TikTok pushed this new desire for authenticity because the influencers on TikTok seem just way more relatable than influencers on Instagram do. At least now, which I think is really interesting, and how even how it's affecting Google, like how people now for search, when they're searching like restaurants in New York, they're going to go to TikTok, or if they're searching Christmas recipes, they're going to go to TikTok instead of Google, because on Google, you're going to get some like blog post from someone that you are like nothing related to. And then at least on TikTok, you could find someone who you feel like is more relatable and authentic. And so it's interesting how it's kind of rippling out to all the different marketing channels.
Oh yeah, definitely. The SEO is crazy on TikTok. I search all my things there.
It is so underrated too. So much of how I can't remember if I talked about this in another episode or not, but how we've grown. So Sky said we have a LinkedIn group for women in marketing. We're creeping up on 4,000 members. It was so funny. I started it maybe in like June, and I was like, okay, my goal is 1,000 members by the end of the year. That's my goal. Like we're about to hit 4,000. It's so crazy. But the whole reason is through SEO on TikTok. It's not like we have, Sky said, doesn't have like the most followers, but for certain keywords, like so we pop up first on all of them, and that's what drives like our repeat members to our group. So if you are in social media and you want a new strategy to bring to your boss, TikTok SEO is definitely a good one to check out.
Yeah, definitely.
Amazing. Okay, well, do you have any other advice for women in marketing who are maybe looking to build a career like yours?
No, I mean, I would just say, like I said, don't be afraid of applying to that role that you think you're not gonna get. And you never know what will happen. That's what happened with me at TikTok. Don't let the title scare you. Like if it says manager in the role, um, try it out. Like if you think you have enough experience, be sure to write that out on your resume, on your LinkedIn. Update your LinkedIn all the time with any little thing that you think is little, but in reality, it's probably a great skill set. Write that down, and I'm sure it'll be great in the long run. So yeah, just don't be afraid.
What I have one more follow up to that. Did you ever get addressed that in an interview? Like, have you ever had to address you not having enough experience or being qualified enough?
No, actually, I haven't. Actually, yes, that's a lie. My TikTok interview, I had a 5-person round interview, and one of the people basically was like, "Hey, do you know what, this word is?" And I was like, "No, I don't." And instead of like lying, I was just like, my face became red. I was like, "This is it. I'm
Oh,
not
I
gonna."
hate it when that happens.
And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know what that is, but I am a really hard learner. Like I can, learn it really quickly, blah, blah, blah. And I really thought I was not going to get that job because I said that. And, little did I know I got the job and they had faith in me. But it was a beginner role. So they maybe thought, okay, she'll learn it eventually.
Yeah. That's a good answer though, of just being honest. And we'll
Yeah.
take it back to the authenticity trend. If
Yeah.
it's good to be honest,
That's-
even if it's not to you seemingly like as perfect. And I
Yeah.
can totally relate to the interviews when you get red and you like feel like, you're like sweating and the
Yeah.
last thing you want to do is say, I don't have the answer. But look where it got you here today.
Yeah. Yeah. So you never know. I think sometimes honesty is the best.
Yes. So I think you're gonna say best policy. Making
I
a
forgot
little
that
run.
phrase for a second, so thank you for reminding me.
Honesty is the best policy. Taking it back to kindergarten.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, this has been so much fun chatting with you and going through your career journey. I feel like you have so much more ahead of you. I can't wait to see where you end up. And we're in Austin, so I may have to get you to tell me your little Oasis nature secret.
I'll definitely tell you. But thank you, Natalie. It's so great to be a part of this, and I appreciate it a lot.